This is CBC Here and Now.
When an opportunity comes to help your own country, I'll raise my hand for that.
Touchdown in Toronto.
The first team of health professionals from this province is on the ground in Ontario and ready to help as the COVID crisis rages on.
Record-breaking rainfall this April, and there's still 3 more days to go.
We have so much to celebrate, but at the same time, of course, we have so much farther to go.
100 years later, and there's still work to do.
How a local theatre company is marking women's right to vote. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. A team of 9 healthcare professionals left St. John's this morning to help fight COVID-19 in Ontario. 8
of them left on a military Hercules C-130 that picked up a 9th team member in Deer Lake before heading off to Toronto. Here Now's Mark Quinn was at the airport as they left.
As the military aircraft idles on the runway in the pouring rain, the Newfoundland and Labrador healthcare professionals know they're heading into a difficult situation. Still, this critical care nurse practitioner says she didn't hesitate when the call for help came.
Why did I decide to volunteer? I guess my initial reaction would be how could I not?
Ontario is seeing thousands of new cases of COVID-19 daily, and more than 800 people are getting treatment in intensive care units. Hinks said she and her colleagues want to help.
We're eager to get there and utilize our skill set and help out and provide them with some relief.
Emergency room physician Dr. Allison Fury is one of 3 doctors on the mission.
When an opportunity comes to help your own country, I'll raise my hand for that.
She has done medical relief missions in Haiti with her husband, Dr. Andrew Fury, before he became the province's premier. But she never expected to go on a mission to Toronto.
I've followed my colleagues up there, and they're struggling, and they have been for over a year. So if I can go and relieve somebody up there of their, give them some reprieve, then I'm happy to do that.
Dr. Fury is expected to be in Ontario for 10 days, and other members of the team may stay there for 3 weeks or more. This is the team landing in Toronto this afternoon, where they were met by government officials.
I'm very grateful and very thankful that this group of healthcare providers from Newfoundland has agreed to volunteer to come and help us out here.
A second team of healthcare professionals is expected to arrive in Ontario from Newfoundland later, but exactly when and who's going hasn't been worked out yet. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Okay, let's bring in Ashley now. You can see there she's out splashing about in the water today. Ashley, a lot more rain last night, and we set a new record.
We did. We set a record earlier today. Not only did we set the April record, but we set the monthly record. We set the daily record today as well, 40.2 millimeters of rain. But earlier today, there's lots of water here right now by the Waterford River, but earlier today it was a lot higher. Like I said, about, 52.6 millimeters of rain fell from late last night through to earlier today, so lots of water around. The good news is it stopped a little bit earlier today, but let's take a look at that record, because that added to that record earlier this afternoon, and we have so far seen 282 millimeters of rain, and we still have 3 more days to go. We would typically see about 96.1 millimeters of rain, and the old record was set in 1951, and that was 260.2. So the good news is, like I said, the rainfall has ended. There is still some more rain on the way. It's going to stay unsettled over the next couple of days, so I'll get into those details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, now to news from the courts. The Crown Attorney is requesting a 3 to 4 year sentence for a man convicted of drunk driving causing death. Travis Firmage was found guilty last month in the 2017 crash that killed fisherman Calvin Tobin. Lawyers made arguments in Clarenville today over how much jail time Firmage should serve. The Crown Attorney is asking for 3 to 4 years, while the defense is asking for about 2.5. Firmage decided to go into custody today before a decision was made. He's expected to return to court next week. Well, this August will mark 100 years since women in St. John's gained the right to vote in municipal elections, well, only if those women owned property. It's an anniversary that Persistence Theatre Company is marking over the next year. Here Now's Heather Gillis has more.
My name is Annie Matthews, and I am a new member of the Women's Franchise League.
Women in this province, just like Annie Matthews, had been lobbying for the right to vote since 1890. The right to vote in a municipal election in St. John's would come 30 years later, in August of 1921. But there was a catch. Women had to own property, and this historian says some quickly found a way around that.
Some bought sheds, and legend has it that some bought chicken coops in order to meet the property qualification.
Persistence Theatre is celebrating the occasion, a century of St. John's women having the right to vote, though the rest of the country and province would have to wait another 4 years. Labrador residents would wait another 21 before they were allowed to vote. Even then, women had to be 25 years old to cast a ballot, while men could vote at 21. Today, Persistence launched Votes for Women 100. There's a ladies' reading room with a play, panel, and tea each month as a tribute to women's debate clubs. There's a women's march planned for October.
And you will stand for mayor.
And they'll host a play called The Mirror by Trudy Morgan-Cole about local Armine Gosling, a leader in the suffrage movement. By 2022, the group hopes to erect a statue of Gosling in Bannerman Park. The theater's artistic director says they've been planning for 2 years now, and many of the suffragettes' rallying cries are still relevant.
Of course, our recent election only involved 8 of 40 women in our House of Assembly. Until we have equity in politics, economics, personal life, we're not going to really achieve the equity and the equality that women deserve.
St. John's Deputy Mayor Sheila O'Leary, who just ran in the provincial election and is running in the municipal elections this fall, says it's great to celebrate, but says there's still a lot of work to be done.
Well, number one, our Elections Act, certainly at the provincial level, needs to be addressed. And that's been long overdue, and certainly that is something that's on the table now with the provincial government, and I'm very pleased to see that.
Persistence Theatre kicks off its first event, the Ladies' Reading Room, next week. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the Innu in Labrador paid their respects to a remarkable elder at a funeral today in Sheheshi. Sebastian Penunsi is believed to have been born in 1930, and he is possibly the last nomadic Innu to have lived by traveling vast distances in pursuit of the caribou. A proponent of living on the land for his entire life, he was also the Innu leader at the center of many of the major issues that the Innu have faced over much of the past century. Peter Panashaway joins me now from Happy Valley Goose Bay to discuss this elder's legacy. So Peter, just who was Sebastian Penunsi?
Sebastian Penunsi was a beautiful person. He was a very nice man, very gentle-natured and very humbled and very kind. He was 91 years old, and that with it came a lot of experiences and a lot of information and a lot of hunting and fishing over the years. And when we started talking about land rights for the Innu Nation, he was very much a part of that, and he was front and center. And he was involved in the developing of the land travel routes, hunting routes, mapping out all the significant sites on a huge mapping gymnasium back in 1980.
Well, obviously it's very important in terms of the oral history that the Innus have this go-to person with a long memory, a revered elder. He was also, I think, front and center during the whole issue of the NATO testing, the supersonic jets, and the Innu protests there.
Absolutely. He was always fighting for human rights of the Innu, and with the other leaders and the other elders. And he's one of the elders that made it into the United Nations to give a presentation and to explain the plight of the Innu. And No, he was a very remarkable man, and he was very good at communicating through an interpreter, and he was very present in the conversations that he was involved with. He was a very good advocate for Innu rights.
He was also one of the people who was front and center during some of the issues when the caribou and the hunt of caribou came before the courts. Tell me about that.
Well, because of his presence in a courtroom or in hearings, he was always asked to speak, and because of his and he didn't mind speaking at all. He was a good communicator and remembered a lot, and he was obviously very old. He was born in the 1930s, and he was obviously here in this part of the Labrador prior to the development of Goose Bay. And so he remembers a lot of the conversations, the people, and the history of it. So that's why he was such a key elder in our court submissions or public submissions or hearings. He was a very prominent.
Well, sad day with the loss of an elder with so much stature. Is it also a time, though, in the Innu community in Labrador to celebrate this long, remarkable life?
Absolutely, and I mean, I just come from the church, and the church was, there were several more speakers, and the chief of the community had announced that there would be a celebration, a community celebration, right after the funeral. That will be to celebrate his life and along with his children. So he was such a remarkable man, and he made a great contribution to the to Innu Nation and to the future of Innu Nation. And so. All of us in the Innu community honor his work, and we honor his presence.
Well, Peter Panache, we appreciate your thoughts, and again, condolences for the loss of such an outstanding man in the Innu community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inquiring.
Well, St. John's photographer Greg Locke took this picture, fabulous picture. This is during a recent photo shoot for the Innu Nation. Likely the last photograph, or at least one of them, that was taken of Sebastian Penunsi. The Innu elder was 91.
All these memories, all these photos around my house wasn't bringing happy memories at the time. So I had to pack them away.
It's not just Hannah died that day. Many other people died with her.
Just after the weather, Stand for Hannah, a documentary.
You'll hear stories from Hannah Thorne's friends and family about her life, her loss, and how their worlds were forever changed by reckless driving. Ashley's back with the weather, and Ashley, they say that April showers bring May flowers, so I guess we'll be seeing a lot of flowers next month with all of that rain we've had all month.
Yes, we will. Well, hopefully we will. Yeah, decided to get outside today, play a little bit in the rain. Haven't done this in years, I guess. But it's pretty nice outside too. Once we saw the end of that rain, the temperatures bumped up a couple of degrees this afternoon. Let's take a look at the daytime highs across the province. Here in St. John's, reached a high near 8 degrees, and then 9 degrees rather in St. John's, and towards the west coast and central a little bit warmer. Even Twillingate reaching the double digits earlier today, 13 in Corner Brook, and then those single digit highs up across Labrador. Still seeing a wintry mix for you, and that's where you're sitting right now. Dropped down to 8 degrees in St. John's, but a beautiful evening temperature wise anyway on the west coast. We're even seeing a little bit of break in that cloud through central, as you can see from that satellite there. The radar has moved well offshore. At least the showers have moved well offshore in the east, but we are still going to look at that risk of some drizzle as we head through the overnight tonight. Through central, even some partly cloudy skies, but again, along the south coast, that rain will continue. Some of the higher elevations, maybe further inland, you might see that mix with some snow, and then that snow potential mixed with rain will continue for Lab West as well as the northern portion of Labrador. As you see, about 2 to 4 centimeters certainly possible tonight, and as we push through to tomorrow afternoon, that area of low pressure is still going to continue to affect the province, which means the rain-snow mix will continue for you in northern Labrador as well as Lab West, and then the potential for showers and or rain will continue for most of the island through the evening hours. Eventually, we may see some clearing skies as we head towards sunset through central. Temperatures tonight will be hovering anywhere from 1 to 3 degrees across the island. The winds have died down now, and they'll stay pretty light as we head through the overnight tonight in the east. For the west coast, you're looking at southeasterlies about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour, and then temperatures hovering between 0 and 1 degree for the big land. Northeasterlies for you in the north, they'll stay gusty about 50 to 70 kilometers per hour. And then through the day tomorrow, temperatures will be pretty similar to what we saw today, certainly in the east, but we're going to dip down a little bit for the west coast, only reaching those single digit highs. Winds will stay generally light for you. However, again, just picking up a little bit, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour out of the south for eastern areas. And then, like I said, that rain snow continuing, about 2 degrees for Nain as the afternoon high. As we head into Thursday, we're not going to see too much in the way of temperature change. We may see some more sunshine through central, the southwest as well. Port aux Basques should see a high near 8 degrees with some sunshine, but that low pressure system will continue to bring some unsettled conditions across Labrador, bringing a little bit more snow or flurries in the mix towards southeast as well. Looks like the northern peninsula should stay around 8 degrees, so you'll probably stay on the rain side. Into Friday though, that temperature will drop, and we're looking at unsettled conditions again. A little bit chance of some sunshine through central, but generally gray skies as you head further east. 9 degrees should be the afternoon high for St. John's into Friday. Taking a look at the next 5 days for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland, by Saturday looks like we should jump back up into those double digits, maybe a few peaks of sun in the mix as well, but overall it is looking like we are going to see the rain or chance of showers continue right through Sunday. Around 6 degrees for central Newfoundland. You're looking at a similar drop. Same thing for western Newfoundland as we head into Sunday. However, it is looking like late day Saturday and through Sunday there is a chance that we're going to see some mixed in some snow with that rain right through the day on Sunday. Definitely going to keep an eye on that one. For eastern Labrador, you're going to see your temperatures bump up by Sunday, maybe up to 9 degrees, but again still staying unsettled with the potential for some rain or snow. A little bit of a different weather photo to share with you tonight. The great thing about this virtual world is I get to spend some time with some classes that I wouldn't otherwise get to. This is Amalgamated Academy in Bay Roberts. It's Literacy Week there, so I read to them Mr. Delaney's grade 4 class. Thank you so much for having me today. And if you guys want to share any weather photos, like some from today, for example, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
For the next 30 minutes, Here and Now is going to share excerpts from the documentary Stand for Hannah by Roger Maunder.
Hannah Thorne was 18 years old when she was killed. Her grandmother was just picking her up from a new job in Carbonear. The pair were heading home when a truck traveling at high speed struck their car. The driver of that truck was street racing with a friend.
Now, both men were found guilty of several charges, including criminal negligence while street racing and street racing causing death. In this documentary, Hannah's friends and family talk about the days leading up to her death, as well as Hannah's personality and her plans for the future, as well as how her family, especially her mother, has taken on the fight against reckless driving.
Hannah was the most loving and fun person you would ever meet. She was always there if you've ever needed someone to talk to. She was always there to make you smile and laugh.
She'd light up the room. Hannah was really funny. She was, well, beautiful for one. Not just physically, but on the inside, she'd do anything for anybody.
She had a really contagious laugh. She was kind, she was giving, and she would do anything to make anybody laugh.
Hannah was a shy child at first, but she soon grew out of that. Hannah was very funny, always carrying on, always making a joke.
Since the day I was born, she has been by my side. She has been an older sister to me. Wherever we would go, people would always ask us, "Are you guys related? Are you guys twins?" Because we look so much alike. We spent hours together, days together. We always had pool parties. If not, we were camping in her garden, in her tent, or we were out on our bikes.
Well, Hannah was essentially my very first best friend. Really close all through childhood and stuff like that. I'd always go out and spend many Christmases and summers together for a month at a time.
Growing up in this community was pretty sweet. Everybody got to know everybody pretty well.
Whenever we get ready to go somewhere, I sit and look at her, and she'd be like getting ready, put her weave in, as she called it, her hair extensions. She wouldn't go anywhere without her hair extensions. Getting ready to put her makeup on, and she'd be singing into her straightener, and she was just the life of the party wherever she went. She was the light of my life, honestly.
I don't think there was any point in time where anybody was around her and you could be not in a mood other than happy.
No, yeah,
like she made everybody so happy all the time. Like she was so goofy and silly and just like.
Well, she loved her music and her animals. Animals she loved. She did everything. Her cats, dress them up, take them out in the carriage, and yeah, she loved her animals.
She was accepted into a 2-year program at the College of the North. She had just got the keys to her apartment 2 days prior to that and had parties planned from right to December.
We were really super excited to go move into our apartment. Like, that was our #1 key. We were supposed to move in July 1st, but my mom was gone away. So we were just waiting for my mom to get back so we could go and sign the lease and get our key and finally have a night in there together, the three of us.
One of my most exciting things was for her to come in and move to town finally, and I could get my hands on her for myself and take her out and show her around. But of course, all that came to a quick end.
Hannah was working July 7, 2016 at an art gallery that I was part of, and she was our student for that summer. It was her 4th day of the job, and myself and my husband were going on a salmon hunting trip. It was a Thursday, so we got everything ready, had a new car for her, registered it that morning. I drove her to work because the process for the car wasn't ready. Her grandmother was going to pick her up, so we left. I talked to her at 5 o'clock that night before supper to let me know that her grandmother was there and she was closing the store.
I met my wife and my friends at work that evening to go off on the salmon fishing trip, and we stopped in Clarenville for supper.
Well, Well, I was texting with Hannah all day, most say the usual for us. And we were planning to go to St. John's, me and her other friend Heidi, to watch a movie. I was at the house and I was texting with her and she said that her nan was picking her up and then we would meet her here. So she was texting me the whole way home.
I had gotten off of work and I was meeting Hannah here. And after not hearing from her for a while, I got a little concerned, So I opened her front patio door to see if I could hear the car coming in the road. And I could hear all these sirens, ambulance, and I instantly just had a gut feeling I had to go. Something was wrong.
We had a group chat, all of us girls, and one of the girls texted, was like, oh, hope everyone's okay or whatever, bad accident. Everybody texted back besides Hannah. I had missed calls from Heidi, her other best friend, and she was saying, don't, and I called her back and she said, I don't want to say make you scared or anything, but I haven't heard from Hannah.
I jumped in my car and I called her phone and I went across the New Harbor Barrens and someone picked up the phone and I was saying, Hannah, where are you? And a lady picked up and she was like, oh, she can't talk right now, but she can call you later. And I remember pulling up to the man that was there and I called him by name. I knew who he was. And I was like, I need to know if it's her. And he was like, turn around. He was like, I can't tell you, but turn around because it's bad. And I could see it all in front of me. And I turned around. I knew it wasn't best for me to be there. So I turned around and I came back here and I waited.
We got a phone call from a family member telling us about the crash and that Hannah was dead. And Levi's mother, Hannah's grandmother, was really beat up in really bad shape. So we immediately turned around and came home. All I was told that I was to come home. So we went into the hospital and there was our C&P there standing over the man that killed Hannah. And we asked to speak to them. They told us to go back out and that they would come for us when they were ready. The police had called us at that point and then told us the real story, that there had been street racing involved and one car had left the scene.
Well, today in the Harbour Grace courtroom, we learned exactly what happened in the moments leading up to the crash that killed 18-year-old Hannah Thorne.
Brian King, who pleaded guilty to street racing causing death, sat quietly as Thorne's family listened to the painful details.
It started here in Greens Harbour around 5 o'clock on July 7th, 2016, and continued for nearly 10 kilometers speeding until tragedy struck right here. A no-passing zone at the crest of a small hill. Mercer passed another vehicle and pulled back into his lane. King tried to do the same, but didn't have time. Investigators believe King's truck was traveling at 130 kilometers per hour when it smashed into the small car. And according to one witness, his first concern was for his own future, reportedly saying, "She's dead. My life is effed."
I don't think any amount of time would compare to losing Hannah. It's just like after he gets out of jail, he can move on with the rest of his life, but Hannah's never coming back.
King said he couldn't imagine what the Thorne family has endured and hopes his sentence brings some sort of justice and closure. Hannah's mother, Gail, chose not to listen to King's apology and left the courtroom.
Today, Justice William Goodridge found Mercer guilty on 3 charges: street racing causing death, street racing causing bodily harm, and a breach of probation.
It's hard to look at him in the face and just to see no reaction, no remorse, just looking at the floor or into space, whatever's on his mind, but it don't seem like he's got any regrets.
I guess it's time for us to start healing now. 2.5 years of battling the justice system, and I'm just glad it's over. Just glad it's over. Again, we can probably finally start to heal now as a family and a group. All of Hannah's friends are here again today. It's been very hard on them as well. Young girls having to go through what they've gone through. They say you die twice. And the last time somebody says your name, and I want Hannah's name to continue to be said many, many years from now.
The thing that's good that comes out of it is the Stand for Hannah Foundation, so that they can lobby for changes to things that need to be changed.
So we started a foundation called Stand for Hannah Foundation. Try to focus my time on that. Stand is standing together against negligent driving. And we've been quite successful. The foundation is we knew right away we were going to start a foundation. I knew as soon as, the very next day, I said, we're starting a foundation. And so we did. But my main goal is to keep Hannah's memory alive and not to forget how she was killed. She was once a person here on this earth, but taken so tragically.
I can remember a couple days after Hannah had passed, I went to the school. They had a little memorial there for all the public and the friends and people that she went to school with. And I can remember being so overwhelmed by how many people were in that gym. It was flooded with people who were all grieving, and that has continued ever since. Every fundraiser that they've always had incredible support. And like I said today, that is exactly what drives and enacts change, and that's exactly what motivates the Stand Foundation and keeps everything going.
Through fundraising, the communities I can't thank them enough. And again, it's, always the same people. It's the same people over and over. Every time it's the same people coming forward and giving us our money so we can continue on with our fundraiser, our foundation.
The foundation would never be where it is without community support like we're so lucky to have gotten.
Everyone just wanted to help in any way that they could, whether that be, volunteering with the foundation, going up to the school and speaking at assemblies, volunteer things like that. Everyone just wanted to help in some way.
Well, what we're having here tonight is a fundraiser volunteered by John Sheehan, a comedy night.
I was approached when it was first starting, and
You know, it just struck a chord, I guess. Maybe the fact that I got a young daughter myself. You know, so teenagers, I got 2 teenagers, so they're driving around now. So it's just like, and being with the fire department for 10 years and being on different scenes, I think this kind of just clicked.
And my normally very intelligent girlfriend goes, I didn't know we had woodpeckers around here.
We've only had one major fundraiser, which we were very successful at. So this is really just our second big fundraiser. And all the money earned will go towards foundation. Right now we're developing a website and hope to use some of those funds towards that.
It was a very emotional day in the House of Assembly, the day that we introduced changes to the Highway Traffic Act. Hannah's family were sitting up above and they were watching, and I have to say that it had a profound effect on me, their presence and the fact that, you know, I felt like just jumping up and clapping that we had gotten this through. And, you know, so to be able to do that, it feels like Hannah's death wasn't senseless after all. So we, in fact, have done something here. You know, Stand for Hannah have advocated, they have effected change with legislation. They are going to do whatever they can do to ensure that somebody else doesn't die the way Hannah died.
I was blown away by the amount of pieces that they changed. Like, I couldn't believe it. Bill 27 is the name, and there's quite a few added of strengthening policies, adding legislation, and we're very pleased with the changes that we've made so far with the foundation. To speak about Hannah, speak about the foundation, to speak of how she was killed, definitely helps me carry on from day to day. I guess it's my mission, and I'll take it as my job right now, is to spread the word and keep Hannah's memory alive.
Gail's ability to continuously advocate, to stand up there, I don't know if I will be able to do it, but she's found the strength, and she's doing it, and she's making change in the name of Hannah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and I'll thank you in advance for listening.
I think it's really important to have someone like Gail come in, and it's important because I think having a real live message, real experience to share with the kids, it's quite. It certainly drives the message home, the importance of it.
We started a foundation in Hannah's memory because, of course, Hannah was only 18, and I know she was put here for more than that. So
sometimes it's very emotional for the kids, and the responses we've had from the feedback from the students in classes, I think she's been certainly very, the kids certainly have responded to it in a fashion that I think they understood, and hopefully, you know, once they get behind the wheel, they will understand the importance of it.
So we're going to take a break here for a couple of minutes. Don't forget if you can.
Yeah, you just leave it here. Our son is, he's slowly but surely feeling better, but again, he'll never get over the loss of his sister. He was never supposed to be an only child, and right now he's an only child.
My name's Cody Thorne, and I'm Hannah's brother.
How close were you and Hannah growing up?
We were best friends. I spent every day together, every moment. When I wasn't in school, I was hanging out with her. She was my glue. What comes to my mind is how controlling she was over me. And one time we were playing outside. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but it was just outside playing in the snowbanks and sliding and stuff like that. And I wanted to go in because we were out there for hours and I was getting cold. But she screeched and bawled to get her way, and I stayed out for another hour or so, and then I wanted to go in again, and she started the game, and I stayed out once more, and then that was enough then after I stopped. And then when she came in, she's like, "Mom, I knows how I gets my way with Cody. All I gotta do is cry." And it's from then on forward. Life has changed so much since, it's hard to even reminisce what it was like back then, really. Who you gonna call to talk about family stuff and everything that has to do with mom and dad is all on me now. All I'd want really is a hug. That'd be it. Nothing that words could do.
Does it ever get easier?
Never. No. I can't believe it's been 4 years, actually. Just seems like it was yesterday. We've had quite a number of changes to the Highway Traffic Act. So now, if you do something like Brian King, Stephen Mercer did, you lose your license automatically, suspended for 7 days, and your vehicle and things like that. There's been some changes to the Fatalities Act. We didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Hannah at all. They took her from the crash, brought her to the hospital, pronounced her dead, and then immediately took her to St. John's. We were not contacted in any shape, way, or form by a doctor, nurse, anybody from the coroner's office. They just basically did what they did. We had no rights. And that really haunts me, that I didn't have a right to hug my daughter or be with my daughter in the hours of her death. And we should have had that choice. And that is also being changed. Many changes to the Highway Traffic Act. And again, I'd like to think that we were a contributor to all of them. I've had some advice said to me, you know, and there's, hold on to your memories, but it's the memories that you remember that are so upsetting. Another one, I had somebody say to me, well, at least you have a son. My reply to her, and I just well tell you, my reply was, you tell me which one of your children you can live without. Even though I know people mean well, you know, there's cliches, you know, oh, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. I won't be fine. But the best advice I can tell somebody is none. None. You can't change me. Nothing can change. Words can't change how I feel. So it's just best leave me be and let me have whatever I need to go through.
Every year from now on, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, basically. I'll always be there, over on my knees, planting flowers if I got to. Someone will push me over.
I learned the hard way to not take life for granted and to tell the people that you love them every chance you get, because you don't know when the last time is going to be the last time.
You gotta live every day to your fullest, like it could be your last, and even like your loved ones and friends, treat that moment like you could never see them again, because you never know what could happen, and every moment should just be cherished.
I would like Hannah to be remembered as someone everybody knows that she was very loved. She was funny. She had a wicked sense of humor. The night before she was killed, she had myself and her father stitches laughing before she went out. I cried. I laughed so much at her. She was very funny. She was sweet, kind, good friend, very well loved. It's the love I have for Hannah is what keeps me going. And starting the foundation is something that I've relied on, actually, for my crutch to try to help me move forward and to keep Hannah's memory alive. I want everybody to remember Hannah. I don't want Hannah's death to be in vain. This is real life. You can't take this back. Most of the crashes are caused by human error, as Hannah's was. They broke so many rules. All you have to do is obey the rules, obey the laws, the speeds. Everybody would be fine. It's not worth that extra 3 minutes of you getting there or your speed kick for the day. Have somebody take somebody's life, or yours. There's somebody waiting for you as well at home. Possibly a wife, a children, mother, father. But most often people don't think of that. Just obey the rules, drive safe, take your time, sit back, enjoy our beautiful province. Hannah, you were missed terribly. You were missed terribly by many. I just didn't lose a daughter that day. I lost a friend and a companion. And you were a good one. You were my sidekick, my right arm. I will continue the work, Hannah. Our mission is not done. I will continue our fight until there's no more deaths due to highway traffic crashes. I love you, darling. Love you forever. Miss you always.
We've been watching part of Roger Maunder's documentary Stand for Hannah.
And if you enjoyed those segments, there's much more. You can head to our website to watch the full-length documentary. It's about 50 minutes long. You can find it on our homepage, cbc.ca/nl. Welcome back. Well, there are no new cases of COVID-19 in the province today, a first in more than 2 weeks. Nova Scotia, on the other hand, is going into a 2-week lockdown. Health officials reported 96 new cases there today, the largest one-day total since the pandemic started, bringing that province's total number of cases to 419.
Effective 8 a.m. tomorrow for the next 2 weeks, we are announcing a province-wide shutdown. All schools, public and private, closed. All indoor non-essential services, including shopping malls, retail, and personal care outlets, restaurants and bars, closed to the public except for curbside pickup or takeout and delivery. COVID loves the indoors, so we need to shut down activities that take place inside. Gyms, pools, indoor recreation and cultural events, dance and theater, all closed for the next 2 weeks.
People are being told to stick to their households and they shouldn't travel outside their community. Nova Scotia has requested help from the military to deal with the outbreak. The Canadian Forces has offered to send 60 members to help at rapid testing centres.
Well, once it's safe to open, an IKEA store in Nova Scotia is showing people what its products would look like in a modern Mi'kmaq home. Nick Maloney has more now on how the partnership came about and just what it represents.
When a staff member from IKEA approached John R. Syllaboy about placing some of his nation's cultural symbols and artifacts among their trendy assemble-at-home furniture, he said he saw the potential for cultural appropriation, but also cultural education.
Right away, my thought was towards knowledge sharing, cultural sharing, how to open up people's mindsets to understand who we are as Mi'kmaq.
This version of a modern Mi'kmaq home, unveiled last week at the IKEA in Dartmouth, is the result of a 6-month collaboration to better represent the store's place in Mi'kmaq territory.
What we tried to do with the showroom was capture a moment of time in a family. We have art on the wall, we have baskets and moccasins, and we have real bread on the table, Luskinigan, with my mother's recipe.
IKEA's David Duplessis contacted Syllaboy after seeing colleagues in Alberta working with a First Nation artist. He said respecting the Mi'kmaq community was a top priority.
It could be very easily misconstrued, I think. If we had done this without the input of our contributors, I don't think it would be successful. It wouldn't be, the intent would be wrong, right?
Working with the store's designers, Syllaboy sourced most of the items directly from Mi'kmaq artists and his own family members, like his niece's traditional regalia.
It makes me really happy to see like people looking at my regalia and complimenting it, you know. I feel like when anyone thinks about Native people as a whole, they're like, oh, those ones that used to live in teepees. We don't still live in teepees.
Syllaboy said it isn't just the objects, the items in the room that are of cultural significance. The concept of a home, a multi-generational home where families gather, that is also central to the Mi'kmaq way of life.
It's IKEA integrating into a space of Mi'kmaq.
IKEA expects the Mi'kmaq display to be in store for 6 to 9 months. Nick Maloney, CBC News, Jabuktuk, Halifax.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.